Hello, it's me, Danyell Carmelita, your favorite tarot reader and astrologer. We're going to talk about Michael Jackson. His birth time is August 29th, 1958. He was born at 7:33 p.m. at Gary, Indiana. The main question we have here is children. When I'm looking for children, I look for two things. I look for placements in the fifth house, and I also look for placements that are in the sign Leo. First, we'll go to the fifth house. The fifth house has no planets in it. But the ruler of the fifth house is the moon, which also could represent, because it's in the sign Cancer, it could represent nurturing, a caretaker, safety, protection, the past, nostalgia. This is what he is passionate about. These are the things that he may have fun doing. Be nurturing and a caretaker, somewhat of like a mother figure, and always looking in the past. Ruler is in his first house, and it's also sitting close to his ascendant. So it's a real big part of his personality. Childlike energy is a big part of his identity, not personality. Oh, also it's in the sign Pisces. Pisces represent things that are hidden. For him to even be a Pisces rising and a Pisces sitting next to his moon means that very secretive, very wants to be kind of behind the scenes. Pisces is a very feminine sign, so that soft-spoken, that soft energy is the illusion. And speaking of illusion, Pisces is an illusion as well, but the illusion that he wants to have. That moon in that first house is huge with mom too. His mom was a big part of his identity as well, or maybe his safety and his past is a big part of his identity. Now when I think of youth, also I look at Mercury. And this is where things get a little bit interesting for me. Even though we were dealing with the Pisces in the first house, that makes things a little bit saucy and a little sus. We also have Mercury retrograding in the sign Leo. We have Venus conjunct his Mercury. It's a wide conjunction, but it's there. We also have Venus in the sign Leo conjunct to Uranus. Now, those are sitting pretty close together. Whenever I look for people who are dealing with Pizzagate, I see a lot of Leo energy, okay? So he has a stallion in Leo, 2 personal planets and 1 generational planet. Mercury does represent youthful energy. It's retrograding, so meaning that it's not working as normal as it should. Venus sitting next to Uranus makes relationships pretty odd, okay? Quirky, weird, out of the box, somewhat futuristic, but pretty weird. Also too, going back to that Pisces rising and that moon in that first house, that's why he was probably so into the Neverland kind of energy. A lot of symbolism is what Pisces give, and that is part of his identity. A lot of fantasy, escapism, and that's why he had his home looking like that, which the moon also represents home, and that's in the sign Pisces. A lot of art. Back to the 6th house, and Venus sitting next to Uranus means things gets very weird when it comes to any form of relationships. Now, if we are talking about forcing one on another, then you are talking about Mars. You know how they say men are from Mars and what they have, and women are from Venus. Well, that man from Mars does not get along with his Mercury retrograding in Leo. What he's saying, there's tension when it comes to the pursuit of the intimacy. I'm trying not to say keywords. I don't want anything to get cut off or anything. That Mars also is squaring, it's at a T-square from his Chiron, which is healing, and it's in the 12th house, and things that are very hidden with healing, and things that are, something happened to him at 19. It could represent sexuality, it could represent intimacy, it could represent things that are very secretive and unknown, or addiction. That's in the 12th house, but he has Mars T-squaring his woundedness. So when he's trying to get healing, when he's trying to pursue healing, there's some tension there. And it is also tension when it comes to his thought process and communication. They don't get along. Now, father figure, I'm looking at Saturn. Saturn is sitting next to his MC. The MC represents your career, is the father figure, Mr. Joe Jackson, having a lot to do with his public standing. And also this not just could represent the father figure, this could also represent record labels, corporations, CEO, an enterprise, a company of some sort, and is restricting his career. I see it's at 19 degrees. 19 degrees is also where his Chiron is, so there's sextile there. So maybe that restriction could bring some healing towards him if he really works for it. But 19 degrees is dealing with harmony and balance and relationships. So there's some restrictions there, and it's in regard of his harmony balance. Could be dealing with court. Does not get along with his moon. And mind you, I've never looked at Michael Jackson's chart, but I also see that the sun is conjunct his Pluto, and that's in the 7th house. That is a very powerful placement here, okay? This is someone who's obsessed with power. Also, too, dealing with court. There is some court issues here because the 7th house and the 9th house both represent court. He has Neptune in that 9th house, which could also represent court in the sign Pluto. So a change, a transformation. Also, Neptune's in Scorpio. Scorpio could represent that Pizzagate. The moon conjunct his ascendant. It can make him very hypersensitive. He was probably more sensitive than what we know. I mean, the Pisces energy is very creative too, but very emotional, vulnerable, very soft and innocent. What we see is that he's not innocent, right? Because that moon conjunct that Pluto is not an innocent person. It's almost like a Scorpio, even though he's a Virgo, who is obsessed with having power. Someone who does some taboo kind of things. Likes to be very secretive. Mercury retrograding in Leo. Now, Mercury rules our cognitive skills. It rules our form of communication, perceptions of things. It could rule, I find, youthful and childlike things, because Mercury is a ruler of Gemini. It represents youthful energy. When it's retrograding, it's processing things very differently. It's a lot of reflection. Maybe always feeling misunderstood, maybe revisiting a lot of things mentally. Mercury wants to be expressive and creative and performing because it's in that sign Leo. It likes the attention, very theatrical identity. Again, Leo represents children. So thinking of children, also being very playful and childlike and having childlike fun. Someone who's charming, someone who's really into aesthetics. A strong voice, though. People are attracted to that voice because Venus is what you are, what naturally attracts and brings attention to. Now that Venus conjunct Uranus. Now, two things is that he is futuristic. He thinks outside of the box. He's different. When it comes to his aesthetics and looks, we already know that. This can make some tastes be unconventional. This can make things non-traditional when it comes to his relationships. This can make him very eccentric. He's attracted to things that are very unusual, and he could be rebelling from what is normal, especially when it comes to his relationship in women. And that Mars in Taurus is in his 3rd house. Also makes me think that, is it something that his siblings, as if his siblings did something negative towards him. So back to Saturn, Michael Jackson, that gives a lot of pressure to his career, but this also could be longevity of fame. Fear of failure, isolation through fame, trying to be really, really perfect. A lot of criticism about his career. Saturn represents the authority figures, mentors. Makes me think Quincy Jones, if that was his mentor, how was that? May not have been the best, because that doesn't go with his moon, which represents his emotions. Saturn represents restriction, industry pressure, the machine behind his success. Cases that were brought to him, I think two things could be true. One, that he did have pressure from the systems that be, and they were trying to take control over his work. That definitely could be possible from looking at this chart. At the same time, he could have been guilty of the allegations that was brought to him, that was said about him. Both of them could be possibly true. And I feel like he had some hardship as a child, because that moon will represent his childhood and his safety net. And Saturn is there restricting, making it very cold. A lot of fear. Also, too, he could have felt like his career was somewhat of a prison. Saturn sitting next to that MC is going to make everything a legacy. So that is what we have. I hope you guys enjoyed this little brief reading of Michael Jackson. Let me know if you have any questions about Michael, and I'll answer them.